I want to ask all of the panellists a bit of an off-the-cuff question. I would like to hear what you think makes you. Brooke, Vulinovich?
I don't know. I swear a lot. I think that shocks people the most. I have such a potty mouth. I'm from Kwinana, originally. So you can take the girl out of Kwinana. I don't know. What makes me? I'm just me.
You're just you, yeah.
Yeah. I'm loud, I'm obnoxious, I'm not for everyone, and I totally understand that. But I also don't give a fuck. So if they don't like it, fuck off. I told you. Thank you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay, next up we have Lara, who is the Executive General Manager and Designer of one of Australia's most successful fashion labels, Zhivago, and she dressed Brooke and I today, in case you were wondering. So launching Zhivago in 2012, Lara has steered the label to unimaginable heights. With a devoted cult-like following, Zhivago is one of the world's most in-demand red carpet after-5 fashion labels. In 2019, Zhivago's contribution to Australia's economy was acknowledged when the label won the award for West Australia's most successful exporter in the creative industries category and was a 2019 national finalist at the Australian Export Awards. Not content with dressing megastars like Madonna, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, Kylie and Kendall Jenner, Lara is also an avid animal rights activist and charitable humanitarian. Did you actually meet them? Since its inception, Zhivago has lent its high-octane glamour to both the West Australian AIDS Council and Breast Care WA, helping both organisations raise much-needed funds. Lara has also rehabilitated Zhivago's business practices, shepherding the label to being completely 100% cruelty-free, earning Zhivago the honour of being named Peter's most animal-friendly label in 2018. Welcome, Lara. So, Lara, what makes you you?
God, what a question.
I know this is
Just throw it somewhere.
I thought you would know you.
Can't she just make a dress and I'll just talk about Instagram? It's easier.
I think maybe that I have a different side to the Zhivago look. I'm actually like a sneakers and like jeans girl, and it's such a contradiction because I make the most glamorous clothes. I think when I see people out, they're often shocked that I'm so casual and normal, not like this obviously. I don't go to shops like this, but yeah, I think that's it. I can kind of go out and have like a complete alter ego, and people most of the time won't even recognise me because I'm so dressed down.
Awesome, thank you. Take a seat. So next up, we have Tamara Cook, is the founder and director of one of Perth's most prestigious events company, Known Associates Events. Tamara is a self-confessed events junkie living the motto, people before profit. Known Associates' first branded event was listed in the West Australian as one of the top 10 events to celebrate the new year, and today is a revered brand specialising in bespoke events, including high-end corporate occasions, marketing activations, fundraising and launch events, with most featuring regularly in mainstream media. A national finalist in the 2019 Australian Event Awards for Small Events Company of the Year, Known Associates is dedicated to event excellence, flexible employment for women, positive impact in the community, and strong human connection. In 2019, Tamara took her teaching a step further by rolling out Behind the Clipboard podcast and workshops, sharing her wealth of knowledge to event managers in Australia and around the globe. Tamara, come on up. Nice. So what makes you you?
Trying not to fall over in my stripper heels with my play school play suit. I think it is, I love people. I just love spending time with people and getting to know people and hearing their stories. And when I'm not with people, I'm reading stories about people. So I've got like that. I'm that person with a stack of books this high on a bedside table. So
You're an extrovert then? You would say you're an extrovert?
I guess. I don't know. I just love being around people.
Alright, take a seat. So, last up, but certainly not least, we We have Tracy Spencer. Tracy is blazing the path for women to get out of their own way, embrace their truth, and live their light work. She is a life and creative business coach, writer, speaker, and Kundalini yoga teacher, and is on a mission to help women step up, use their creative gifts to make an impact, and to unapologetically rock their light. With a unique way of turning spiritual lingo into real talk, she has earned the titles of 2015 to 16 Beautiful You Emerging Coach of the Year Award, finalist for 2018-19 Beautiful You International Coach of the Year Award, and will become a published author in 2020. Come on up, Grace. All right, come on, give it to us. What makes you you?
Well, I actually asked Ash this, and she was like, "You're spiritual as fuck, but you swear heaps too." I'm like, good balance. But feel like a bit on the bogan side like you. I grew up on a farm, inland from Geraldton, so like Gero in the house. Yeah, everyone's like, oh shit. Yeah, so that'll do. It's good enough. Yeah, sweet.
So if anyone doesn't like swearing, sorry.
Sorry, Lynn, where's Lynn? I did a conference last weekend and my whole thing was fucking phenomenal stories and Lynn was dying in the audience. I'm just gonna look this way.
Okay, let's get started. So the 2020 global theme is for International Women's Day is Each for Equal. So in your opinion, how can we individually make a difference in creating an equal world? Brooke, let's go.
So I actually wrote some notes for this, which is something I don't normally do. Look how prepared I am. But I think as business women, it really comes down to how we treat one another. We've got to begin with how we treat one another if we're ever going to go up against women versus men or women and men as one. So I put together six, hang on, I want to switch hands. Okay, I put together six key qualities that can help us create a more equal world where every business owner feels accepted, encouraged, and included, okay? So these are my six. Number one, patience. And the reason that I think patience is so important between us and other business owners is there seems to be this really bad culture at the moment, and I don't know if I'm the only one experiencing it, of almost guilting and shaming people when they're too busy. And I want to bring attention to the fact that when did busy become a bad thing? Like we push each other to work so hard to grow our businesses. Then as soon as people get busy, we're like, oh, you're too busy for me. What happened there? Does anyone else get that? Is it just a me thing? Okay, good. I'm not alone on this. So sometimes the best support that you can give another business owner, obviously other than money and buying off them, is just patience with them. Because you've got to work fucking hard to get to where you want to be. And if having work-life balance when you first launch your business is your number one priority, unfortunately, and I think we can all agree here, it's going to take you a long fucking time. Okay? So that was number one. Number two is respect. If you want to work with someone, respect their time, respect their fees, and respect their boundaries as well. The most simplest form of respect you can give is spelling somebody's name right. Coming from Brooke with no E for the past 5 years. My name has an E, please use it. Okay? It seems to, there's this entitlement and this thirst. Again, I don't know if it's just me that's experiencing it at the moment, but thirsty DMs all the time. Me. What can you do for me? Me. Stop it. We've got to stop it. Okay?
Third thing.
Sorry, rant. The third thing is kindness. So not everyone chooses to share everything that's going on social media, and I think that we really do need to remember that a pretty filtered picture that you see on social media is 1% of somebody's life. Everybody that you end up speaking to and getting to know better has so much more going on in their personal life that they may not want to share, they may not be allowed to share, the other people involved may not want them talking about it. So always be kind, because you really have no idea what is going on behind the scenes of that pretty filtered picture. Number 4 is integrity. So if you are just starting out, don't look at your idol and copy what they are doing. Okay? Go back, do your research, find out what they did at the start and use that. Don't copy them now because nobody starts at the top. Humility is number 5. Nobody owes you anything. That's a really big one. Again, and it comes down to this entitlement that people seem to have at the moment. No one owes you anything. You need to be your own biggest fan and your own biggest cheerleader all of the time. Support is not a prerequisite. It's actually a bonus if you get that support, okay? And then understanding. So if the answer, I'm waffling. If the answer is no, don't take it personally. You aren't going to be the right choice for everybody based on their goals and direction, not yours. The end.
Boss Brooke is out. Lara.
Okay, firstly, what was the question again?
So, the theme for International Women's Day is each for equal. How do you see us as individuals making a difference in the world for them?
Okay, on a side note as well, I don't know if you girls agree, but I feel like we're around the wrong way. I feel like Brooke needs to be at the end, and she needs to wrap it all up for everyone. Because I think you were like going to screw us over for all of our
No.
Question I had notes for.
I'm just kidding, I'm kidding. Okay, how do we work to be equal? I think, most of all, kind of looping back into what Brooke was saying, don't be afraid to, do you and put yourself first, but once you get into a position where you are pretty lucky and you've got things going pretty well for you, don't be selfish about it. Don't hold your information like across to your chest and be so insecure that you don't want to spread it around. You know, I think that, information and knowledge is the power that we have, and there can be a lot gained for everyone if people just are a little bit more giving with their the lessons they've learnt and the time that they can give people. I'm not saying to give your IP away at every opportunity, but when you recognise that you're in a position of comfort, don't turn your back on people who are struggling, because at the end of the day, even if they're trying to do something similar to you, everyone's going to have their own flavour, and you need to have enough confidence in yourself to know that your work is going to stand up on its own, and just because someone else is coming up after you and doing well, it doesn't devalue you at all. So I think that's what we have to kind of do, is bring up the people that are coming up behind us, and I've been, in the past I've been guilty of it too. You can feel threatened when someone seems to be coming up so fast and doing so well, but at the end of the day, like Brooke said, you don't know their story, and you actually don't know if what you're seeing on social media is the truth and it's the real facts. So just try to be kind and giving and put yourself in their position. And I've had a lot of luck because women have helped me over the last 10 years, and paying that forward is the gift that you give on, and that's what makes you worthy of the success.
I like that. Women supporting women, that's what it's all about. Okay, Tam.
Thanks. So I think my thoughts, I did some notes too and I had to relook at them because you went on for so long. My thoughts are more around gender, and on International Women's Day we really, this room is testament to how beautiful women get together and support each other, and we've got to a point where we know what we want, we're out there doing our thing, you've all got amazing businesses, but you're also balancing a whole lot of children and domestic duties and all those things in the home. And so the each for equal thing to me is we're at a time now where we've got to get the men to step up and support us too. It's not just about women supporting women. The men have to support the women. They have to realise where we've gotten to and start doing things like school pickups. Because you know what? So many men, my husband included, although he's very, very, very supportive, and I couldn't have had my business for 13 years without him, he'll just say, oh no, I've got to be at work till 5 o'clock. No, you don't. You've got a female CEO. You can say, Tam's got a meeting today, kids need picking up from school early, I'm just going to go and work from home. 100%. How many men out there, or husbands have you got, that would say, oh no, I can't do that, my job's too important? Anyone? Yeah? So everyone's husband would leave work to help you out? That's amazing. So the men just need to start looking at how they can step into the home and support us doing our thing and going to the next level. I think for me, that's what each for equal really means, is step up, guys, and see what we're doing, and you can do it too.
Is it on? No.
No?
Yeah.
No? Can you just repeat the question one more
Yes,
time?
for the fourth time. Trace. Global IWD theme is each for equal. How do you see us working individually or collectively to create a more equal world?
Yeah, so there's two ways I want to go about this. Firstly, I don't have notes because I don't write notes, so well done being organised, you guys. I want to go a little bit of a different way with this one because let's highlight the word individually. I think we're in a time now where we're starting to recognise that people in leadership positions don't actually have as much power as we think they have, or we think that we've been giving them. I think that individually we need to remember that self-leadership and self-responsibility is how every single person in this room is going to make a difference, okay? So leadership starts around your kitchen table. Empowered women create empowered families. Empowered families create empowered communities, create empowered cities, empowered countries, empowered world. So I think we're starting to recognise that change isn't happening out there, it's happening here. We've got to clean it up in here. So that's one thing I want to say is self-leadership is how we're going to start to individually change it. The second thing is that there's this quote coming into my awareness here of recognise that the other person is you. It's a quote by Yogi Bhajan. Recognise that the other person is you. We have to clean up our judgment, our separation, our comparison, our jealousy, our negative thinking. It's up to us to clear that out. If we can't have full self-love and full self-responsibility, self-empowerment, how the hell are we going to look at someone else and really bring that out in them? So I think we need to understand that everyone's got their stuff going on, and if we have a voice, which everyone in this room has a voice, it's our responsibility to start using it for people that don't have a voice. People that aren't as privileged as us. People that aren't from backgrounds that we're from. So that's my answer.
I just get goosebumps every time you speak because it's so from the heart. Does anyone watch Tracy's Insta stories here? Yeah. If you're on a spiritual path at all, you've got to get on it. And if you are, you probably already know about Trace anyway. So our second question. Tell us about a time where you were told, if you don't do it like this, your business won't grow. And I'm going to start with Tam here. Keeping these girls on their toes.
What was the question again?
Tell us about a time where someone told you, if you don't do it like this, your business won't grow.
Right, yeah, so my business started with, I was the event manager at the Dockers, and I started my business because I really wanted to give back to the community. So 100% for the first 10 years, been going for 13, the first 10 years I didn't draw a wage. The business was 100% set up to, any profits went back to a charity of my choosing. And I brought in interns that ran, I bridged the gap between university and the job world for them, and they ran the events for the charities, meaning the charities had really low overheads and they had really professional event management services. So a lot of people told me, why are you busting your gut day in, day out? You've got 2 little kids running this business and you're not getting any financial benefits. It's a hobby. You're not doing anything that's worthwhile because you're not making money. And I just said that's bullshit, because that's not what success is to me. I'm not about lining my pockets. I'm about giving back to the community and doing amazing events that change people's lives. And you'd be amazed the amount of people that said to me, that's not the right way to go. Flash forward, I did my own thing for 10 years and it got noticed in the corporate world, and we ended up getting headhunted for a lot of corporate events that then did bring in the money. And now, you know, in our first year, we turned over $500,000. So when we start, and I've made myself away. So when we started being for-profit, all of that journey that I'd been on, which was not about making money for me, but it was about giving back to others in so many ways, I know 100% was the right way to do it. So screw those people.
I love that you didn't listen to them that it's all about money, because I also didn't start my business for money. It was for the lifestyle, and then that's okay too, you know, as long as you stay true to that. Yeah. Lara, tell us. I'm sure you've been told this before. If you don't do it like this, your business won't work.
Yeah.
Tell us about a time.
Okay, so one major thing that's springing to mind is in a few years ago we were just starting to grow and had just moved into the US and had picked up some really big accounts in the US, which was super exciting. And they obviously could be quite demanding and wanted what they wanted at a certain time and done in a certain way, which I went along with for the first bit. And then I started getting some requests that kind of weren't really part of our business strategy. Like they would come to us and say, oh look, because we're a label that doesn't really rely on trends. Like don't look at trends, don't look at fashion magazines, don't know what's coming in, just want to make classic pieces or whatever kind of like I'm feeling and the girls are feeling at the time. We'll kind of pick a theme and we'll go with it. And then we had this one big US retailer, who I won't name, who started Revolve. Who wanted us to kind of do drops for them that were trend-based, or you know, this is really hot right now, or why can't you and would send us pictures of things on the runway and be like, if you can make something like this, we'll buy this many 100 pieces from you, kind of thing. And it was really hard to turn down that opportunity of like the money and the profits and like where you thought you could go, but really kind of I thought to myself that that wasn't really where I wanted the brand to go long term. And it could be a kind of situation, or it would be a kind of situation where you would boom up and then kind of fizzle out if you were just doing what everyone else was doing. So that was a lot of heated back and forth they were quite fine, but our agents that we had in the US at the time, obviously they're geared towards making money and commissions, and they really put the pressure on as far as you need to like do this, you need to grow, like it's about money, and pushing back and being like, no, like our business will grow organically and it doesn't have to be by following what these designers are doing or what trends are out at the moment. That would not be good for us. So yeah, that was a bit of a battle that I went on for probably a good 12 months until we got some traction and just stayed true to our signature. And then obviously like the market and the public started buying into it, and that conversation was never brought up again. But I often think back at what would have happened if I'd bowed to that pressure and where the label would have gone if I'd been so scared of doing things my way that I had just like done as I was told. So I think that, lost my train of thought. Basically, no, as far as like, you will always be told that if you don't follow someone's advice that your business won't work, but nobody knows their business like you. You need to listen to your gut, and you need to not be afraid to turn down money or profits short term to think about your long-term strategy.
Lara, while we have you, can you just give us an idea of the scale of your business? So how many stores are you in, how many pieces you make, how many people you have working for you and things like that?
Okay, so we actually have our head office in Perth. We have because we do our samples in-house and the business partners in-house, so we have 7 full-time staff in Perth, but we have PR offices in Sydney and in LA, and then we have sales offices in LA and Sydney and Adelaide also. We stock to over 100 boutiques worldwide now, and we actually show at New York Fashion Week and Paris for the last 3 years running now. Yeah. And so the last question is, we have one I'm Horace. It was a dress worn by Kylie Jenner. She wore it, and that's what kind of propelled us in the US. We've sold probably 8,000 of those to date.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Brooke. Oh, sorry, I'm confusing everyone.
Right. So, I don't know how many people here today worked with me before Social Club existed, when I was still teaching social media workshops. So, this was about 4 years ago now, and I came in at a time when no one was really teaching you how to do your own social media. Businesses, I think, looked at social media maybe sort of a bit like accounting, like, oh, you have to be really skilled to do that, I'm not even going to touch it, I'm just going to outsource it. So everyone that could afford it was outsourcing it, and because, again, it was new, the price to outsource it was really, really high. And I never saw this as an opportunity as a business, really. I was at a time when I was really alone, I didn't know anyone, and actually went to one of Ash's very first events and met this table of women who had their small businesses, and we had to go around the room and everyone had to say their biggest struggle in business, and everyone except myself said social media. And they said, well, who's doing your social media? Because it's really good. And I said, I'm doing it myself. It's not difficult, it's not hard. Trust me, if you can run a business, you can do your social media. I'll show you how to do it. And I was just stoked because I was like, sick, I can force these people to be friends with me if I just show them how to use social media. And that's how my business grew. So almost on the daily, I would have people say to me, can you manage my account? Can I just pay you to manage my account? And you know, this was at a time when some people were charging like $5,000 a month to manage social media. Like, I could have made a lot of money managing social media, but I really believed in teaching people how to do it themselves and saving that money so you could spend it on something else. So most people would say it, and I'd be like, no, don't do it. And then I went to see a male business coach speak at an event. And it was someone that I'd done some research on, and he looked like he knew what he was talking about and had amazing success stories. And afterwards I said, like, could I talk to you? And I explained my business model and what I was doing. And he looked me dead in the eye and said, there is absolutely no way you will be able to scale your business, grow, make any money, take this seriously if you do not offer social media management. And I remember I called Kerry, or I messaged Kerry after, so Kerry down here was the business coach I was actually working with at the time, and it was the first time that I felt like, I don't know why this guy's opinion meant so much to me, but I was like, fuck, I won't grow, I won't be able to do this long term if I don't offer social media management. And I remember messaging Kerry and being like, Kerry, maybe I should offer social media management, I don't know, and it messed with my heart, not just my head, because if I went with my head, I'd be like, okay, do the calculations, fuck, I could be killing it. And it really messed with my heart because it really tugged on someone I admired whose values were not the same as mine, and that really fucked with me. And there was a while that I really second-guessed everything that I was doing and whether I would be able to do this long term. And then obviously the opportunity came up to create the social club, and that was something that people had not really done before. There wasn't this membership-based online Instagram social media training platform. So it was something new, and once again, when you launch something new, it's, are people gonna catch on to this? Well, I guess we're in 20 countries now, so people caught on. So same as Lara's message, like, if there is someone that you admire that tells you something and it doesn't sit right with you and it doesn't sit right in your gut, it's not right for you and you're going to struggle. And let's be honest, I'm a really hard worker, and I could have a full social media agency now where I managed 1,000 accounts, but I like working with people and I like teaching people. And even though the social club is online, I still have that like one-on-one, well, I feel like it's one-on-one, with the community, and I found a way to do it my way that feels right in my heart, is scalable, is profitable, and makes me money. Okay, it was never done before, but what if I'd never done that? So, that's my advice to you. And how was that? Oh, and you know what? I see his ads now come up in my Insta feed, and I'm like, fuck you. Yeah.
How good does it feel to say I told you so?
Well, I'd love to see him and be like, hey, do you remember telling me that I would be able to grow my business?
Okay, Trace, do you remember the question? Tell us about a time when someone told you you shouldn't do it this way.
Yeah, so rule number 1 is you never tell an Aries how to live their life. You know what I'm saying? Aries in the house? Amy is like, yeah. So I think I want to echo everything that the girls have said, because we need to remember that the CEO of your business is your intuition, okay, and your gut feeling. And I think what I'm starting to witness and see a lot, and at the start of my journey, this is what would have happened, is people saying, don't be too fiery. You're a yoga teacher, don't drop F-bombs. Just sound a bit more like this, or this person's really successful, so let's curate my words to sound like that. Do you think that hits the heart of anyone that I'm trying to hit the heart of, if they can't actually feel me in anything that I'm writing or doing? And I'm seeing this all the time with women, toning ourselves down, trying to sound like someone else. Like, this isn't what a coach sounds like, and you know, coaches don't sound like fucking robots, okay? So I think, don't know what the question was. Tell me not to, yeah. So, so I think really it's about, trusting yourself, and when someone told me to be more like this person, that's when I give them the big no deal, and I just do it my own way anyway, because if you're not being moved by your message, you're not fucking going to move anyone else by it. So stop toning it down, is what I want to say. Yeah. After all that.
Okay, I'm super excited for this question because no doubt we've all experienced this before, negative feedback. So can you tell us about a time when you received negative feedback, and what's your advice to business owners on how to deal with it? So Trace, while we have you.
Yeah. So, again, never give feedback to an Aries who doesn't ask for it. And I think the negative feedback was kind of what I just said there, like, I would like your message if you didn't swear so much.
Really?
Yeah, slide into my DMs. I'm like, fuck off, Karen. Yeah, always, like, seriously. Like, get it. But I want to echo what Brooke said before about just be really intentional with who you're actually taking advice from. Because people are going to throw their projections, they're going to throw their opinions, they're going to have a little 2 cents to put in there, but just take a little think about who's actually giving that feedback, and is it from someone that you respect and from someone that is 5 steps ahead of you? Because if it's from someone that's maybe, you know, not really in the arena as well, do we want to listen to that? I don't know. So I don't actually, I'm really lucky I've never had real negative feedback other than just tone it down a little bit, which, do you think I listened? Nah. Yeah, so that's really it. Just be mindful of who you're taking advice from.
Awesome. So you're giving less fucks about the fucks. Tam, so tell us about a time when you received negative feedback and how did you deal with it?
Yeah, there's this one event that came to us last year, and the woman running it was really green. So she had a really fantastic idea, she was very motivated, but we could tell that she didn't know exactly what she was doing, and she was biting off more than she could chew. But we still, you know, we took baby steps with her. We're falling apart. We took her under our wing, we nurtured her through the whole experience, and instead of taking a large deposit up front, I said, let's just tone it down a bit and go step by step. And in the end, she knew, she could see that it wasn't going to work the way she wanted it to work. We're probably 75% of the way through, and as you guys know, creating events, all of it's done in the lead up. So from our perspective, we had done a whole lot of work over many, many months for this woman, and she wanted to pull the pin, which is fine. We kind of said, that's what's going to happen anyway in the beginning, but she wanted to push forward. And then she asked for her money back. And when she sent the email, she attacked one of my staff members, and I'm shaking now because I was so upset with the way that she said, you know, you gave me a junior staff member, I thought you'd be working on the account, which I was, and I put my senior staff member on her account actually. And over the period we were working with her, I lost my father, and she was from out of town, and there was this one time that she came down and she wanted to see 4 different venues in a day, which normally we wouldn't take a whole day off. Me and another staff member took a whole day off to take her around 4 different venues. We took her out for lunch, really gave her the experience of what each venue would be, and that was during the time my dad was in a coma in hospital. So I had really gone above and beyond for her, and then when she cancelled the event, she sent me this horrible email saying, you haven't done your job, I shouldn't be paying you, I want my money back. And I just thought, sorry Lynn, fuck you. I don't think I've nurtured anyone more than I'd ever nurtured this person, and it was just a big slap in the face. So the best thing you can do is stand up for yourself. When you know that you've really put your heart and soul into something. I mean, I didn't tell her anything about my father. She had no idea he was in hospital and I'd come from his bedside to be with her that day. So I just thought, no, I'm sorry, you're not getting a cent back. We've done 100% of what we said we would deliver, and go on your merry way. And I felt so good just after I sent that email, and I said, oh, and by the way, here's the bio on my website. Georgia is one of our senior staff, and you were absolutely 100% cared for, so bye.
I'm guessing there was a contract involved and everything, so she just left it?
Yeah, she just had to walk away. Yeah.
Okay. Lara.
Okay. This is a bit of a touchy one, so I don't know where you guys will sit on this in the audience, but probably the biggest negative feedback to date that I've had to deal with and come out the other side of was our stance on rental boutiques. So, when rental boutiques popped up quite a few years ago, it was this new thing, and obviously like offering people like the chance to wear a dress for like a fraction of the price, and who wouldn't be into that, right? Well, I have to say, if I was not in the position I'm in, if I wasn't in the fashion industry, I probably would do it too. But fortunately, we were a few years in and established, and looking at the growth of them and the way that the majority of them ran their businesses, I kind of knew that the public wasn't really aware of how they were being operated. For example, let me put it into another example. If you, say, went into Kmart and you bought a copy of a DVD that you liked, and then you rented it out to your friends, you would get sued by the studio or the movie company for intellectual property theft, because you have to pay licensing. It's a standard thing around the world. And what was happening is these people who were operating rental boutiques were going into our current boutiques, not saying what the product was for, saying it was for their birthday or their engagement party, paying just normal retail price for it, and then renting it out 20 or 30 times, making 5 times the money that the store had made. Sounds like it's a no one gets harmed, right? I could look at that and see, coming out the other end of it, of that time of growth as an emerging designer, what it was going to do to other labels that hadn't been as established out there. Of course, the mentality of these rental boutiques that didn't want to pay licensing, just wanted to like pay a regular price, and they were making $2,000 to $3,000 off a dress that someone else had designed. It was someone else's creativity, and they weren't getting permission. That was one side of it that was a little hurtful to me. But the main issue was that what was happening is that it wasn't just the people who couldn't afford to to buy a dress were renting. Anyone obviously would want to rent a dress. Well, personally for me, I like to have something. I think there's the mentality of you save up for something, it's really special to you, and then you have it, you treasure it. But, you know, many people that could afford and used to buy dresses from local designers and local boutiques around Australia were then renting. And we were having these rental boutiques pop up next to a normal boutique who'd been around for 20 years, 30 years, and offering the same clothes at a fifth of the price. So very early on, I decided to take the stance of really fighting these rental boutiques, not because it hurt us, but to try and stand up for the labels that couldn't stand up for themselves, the emerging labels, the labels that weren't as fortunate as us, that were struggling. So yeah, I copped a lot of negative feedback about it. First of all, I was asked by the media my stance on it. They'd started running these stories about these rental boutiques that were like new and innovative. And let me just also clarify, there are a few out there that I have spoken to and who didn't really think of it that way, and then once we spoke to them would then go to the designers, ask their permission, either pay them licensing. There was another one, Something Borrowed, I think her name, Mia. I spoke to her and she started doing her own designs. She decided to design her own product and rent it out. So there are a lot of boutiques but there are still really bad rogue ones. So we started with the legal action, and the blowback that I had via social media, via websites, how selfish and entitled I was, and how I didn't want regular people to have nice things, and it was really hard to cope with because, you know, I don't come from a privileged background. I've had to work really hard for everything I ever had, and in a perfect world, I would want every person who couldn't afford to wear one of our dresses to wear our dresses, but I could see the long-term damage. Anyway, fast forward 5 or 6 years, and I don't know if you've noticed, but our boutique market in WA is completely decimated. Between the retail industry and the rental industry, we've got boutiques that have been around for 20 plus years that are closing their doors. In 2017, in Australia, we lost in one season 15 boutiques shut down, and all but 2 cited rental boutiques as the reason. So yeah, it was a really hard battle to kind of, and I'm still ongoing with it. The amount of money that I spend a year, still in legal action for boutiques doing this is staggering. You would be shocked. It's someone's wage more every year. But I think it's important to try and preserve the lower, like the labels and the unique labels. And you would have seen there's quite a few labels in the last few years that have closed as well. That's the impact of this whole see, want, have mentality that seems to be kind of gripping. Like, I've seen it and I want it, therefore I'm entitled to it. And without thinking of the damage that it's caused to everyone as a whole. So yeah, that was probably the most negative feedback I've ever had. On the other side of it now, I think people are starting to realise the ramifications, and they're really realising it's not the best thing to do, but yeah, that was a rocky few years.
Are you still fighting that battle now? Or?
Yeah. Every
legal.
week our lawyers constantly onto people who are doing it. And like I said, it's 90% of our business is in the US now, which it's not a thing in the US. In the US they find it really wrong and immoral, so they don't do it, thank goodness. But here it's a huge problem, and even though it's not impacting us, that's one kind of way I'm trying to give back, is continuing to still try and shut them down for everyone else who just can't speak for themselves, can't fight for themselves.
All right. So, Brooke, tell us about a time when you have received some negative feedback, and how do you recommend people deal with it, and how did you deal with it?
Okay. So there's negative feedback that comes from customers, and then there's negative feedback that comes from people that don't know you at all. And obviously, as you build your community on Instagram and that's your tribe, generally they're pretty nice. Occasionally, you know, something slides into your DMs, like Tracy was saying, but generally they've got your back. It was really when I started The Pulse on Channel 9. And what The Pulse does is they share the clips to their Facebook page. And you know me, I'm like excited and I want to see all the comments, and I think the first couple of times I was like horrified at how nasty people could be. and it really got to me and it really upset me. And then I was like, do you know what? You don't fucking know me. You're some little troll on the internet that would never have the guts to go on fucking live TV because it's scary as fuck. And I actually don't really care what you think. So I never look at the comments anymore, but I'm doing Channel 9 now almost once a week. And on Friday, when did I do it? Friday, yeah. I don't know if anyone saw it, but basically we get 3 topics, whatever the news topics of the day are, and there was this whole issue with Bunnings sausage sizzles, going vegan. And my guest, who I was on with, she did look at the comments and she sent me a few. And isn't it funny when you make a decision with yourself to do something and you don't realise until that situation comes around again and you don't react in the same way that you've grown and the growth that's come in that moment. So poor Lisa sent me DMs and there was just the most awful things, like I'll put a sausage in both of them, and I just lost brain cells listening to those 2 blonde idiots, and blah, like anything you can think of people will say, unfortunately. And I just laughed and I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. And I think she was quite upset. And it made me realise that if you can make that decision to block the strangers out, and again, the people that don't mean anything to you, over time you'll realise it doesn't affect you. So that goes for the strangers. Now let's talk about not the strangers. So I think feedback that comes from customers that's negative, the very first thing you need to do is just take out all of the emotion in it, because an unhappy customer is very emotional normally. So if you can take out the emotion in it and just look at the facts and look at that feedback as, is there a lesson in this? Is there something that I can improve in my sales process? Is there something I can improve in my product? Is there something I can improve in my service? And also, have I fucked up here? Like, take the emotion out of it. Have I fucked up? Because there's a saying, the customer is always right. And that saying seems to have disappeared. And business owners, again, like I was talking about at the start, this entitlement that it's my business, I must be right all the time, but sometimes we're actually not right all the time. And that's how we learn, and that's how we change and improve and evolve and develop our business and our services and our customer service and our sales process. So I think if you can look at it and take the lesson out of it, and whether there is something that you can improve and see it as a positive. Now, if they're still wrong, which sometimes they are, some people are just nasty to be nasty. And again, it's stuff going on in their own life, it's not you. I think what you've got to remember is whatever you're responding to someone like that can be shared everywhere. So if you believe that actually you haven't done anything wrong here and they are in fact being extremely unreasonable, make sure your response to them, you will be happy to be online forever, because that's what seems to happen now, that an unhappy customer notifies a brand, the brand responds a lot of the time very negatively, and in a situation where the brand could in fact be 100% in the right and the customer is 100% in the wrong, these people that comment on the Channel 9 stuff, the trolls, they thrive for that shit. When you see those posts in like Perth Girl Bosses, like Bitches Drinking Wine, all those groups that are literally screenshots of conversations from an unhappy customer and the brand, and sometimes the way the brands reply is pretty horrifying, very unprofessional, and in a situation that could have been handled so much better, the brand ends up just looking terrible. So my best piece of advice to you with negative feedback from customers is just to make sure what you respond is professional, make it factual, even if it's killing your soul, make it factual, and just make sure if they screenshot your reply and shared it online, you would be okay with that and it still makes your business look good. Thank you.
So, Brooke, while you have the mic, I want to know, do you ever feel unmotivated to keep being you? And if you do, where do you look for inspiration?
Okay, I do all the time. People ask me this all the time, like, do you ever get tired? I get exhausted. I get absolutely exhausted, But right now, I don't really have time to be exhausted or tired or take a break. So when I first started teaching workshops, like even from my very first social media workshop ever, I was like, all right, the thing that is going to get me through the tough times is knowing that I'm helping small business owners and knowing that I am making a difference, and that is what's going to ultimately motivate me to keep going. So I created back then just a Word document called Positive Feedback. And what I did was, whenever any of my customers said anything nice about my services or me or what I was teaching or the results they were getting, I would add it to this document, so that when I was feeling low or unmotivated or like I wasn't really doing anything special and I wasn't really making a difference, I could pull up this document and read through these comments and be like, oh, okay, I am making a difference. Actually, I'm just getting in my own head. It's that imposter syndrome, which I still totally get all the time. And over the past 5 years, that one Word document is now like a Dropbox folder that even has subfolders in it of screenshots and feedback, and poor Taylor's updating it every 2 seconds. This is my sister Taylor, she's amazing, and no one's still here from me. And you know, it really helps motivate me that, okay, what I'm doing is helping small business owners. It is making a difference in people's lives. It is helping them feel more confident on social media. It is helping them actually make sales from social media. And I better fucking keep doing what I'm doing, otherwise look at all these people that I'm going to affect. So that's really helped me. Hopefully it can help you too. You just actually, it's one of those things you just have to do and remember to do. As soon as someone says anything nice about you anywhere, just add it to that Word document. And when you're not feeling motivated, read it. And it really does give you like that little boost.
I do the same thing. I have a little folder in my inbox called Inspiration, and any nice emails I put in there. So, nice emails, welcome. All right, Lara, do you ever feel unmotivated to keep doing you, and where do you look for inspiration?
Yeah, quite often. Especially when work is crazy, as anyone feels. Like sometimes you can feel like you're running up a mountain and you're never ever going to get to the top. But for me, we've dressed a lot of celebrities, a lot of like high-profile people. For me, that's not what motivates me and inspires me to keep going. It's the whenever I feel down, I'll go into like the tagged photo section in our Instagram and look at all of our customers, like around the world, that are wearing our product. Just everyday people who like will DM us and say, oh look, I just had a baby and I was feeling really like fat and not like myself, and I wore your dress and my husband couldn't keep his hands off me. Or like girls who will send their pictures when they've gotten married in one of our dresses, which is amazing. Like the thought that we are going to be in someone's wedding pictures forever, that's huge. So I think the important thing is knowing why you've started your business and revisiting that when you feel unmotivated. So whatever your drive is, whatever is the reason that you started it, whatever kind of gives you the goosebumps, as I say, go back to that when you're feeling unmotivated, because those people, you've made that difference to them, whether it's in a service industry, whether it's a product, you've helped people. And I think if you can remind yourself of that, you'll never be too tired to do your work.
Yes.
Sing some karaoke. Doing you. For the first 29 years of my life, I didn't really like myself. I grew up in Sydney. I didn't know my biological father. My mother, for anyone who knows me, looks like Brooke and Lara. She was blonde hair, blue eye, this kind of blonde when she was little. And she remarried. That was the dad I was talking about before. And when I was 7, and grown up in Australia in a white Australian family, and for a long time I was bullied, and I was always told, where are you from? Are you adopted? Why do you look like that? You're literally the black sheep of the family. And I didn't feel like I fit in for a very long time. So I had lots of really long-term relationships that I could kind of cling on to somebody else, so I didn't have a really good sense of identity at all. I straightened my hair chemically to the point where it was falling out. I put in blue and green contacts when I was in my 20s. I wanted to look as similar to my family and to my mum and to my friends and all the people around me, because I didn't know really anyone who was Kenyan, to sort of get away from who I was. So when I was 25, I started looking for my dad, and I finally found him. It took a few years for me to get up the guts to go to Kenya, and I went and met my Kenyan family and my 6 brothers and half-brothers and sisters and my dad, and it was an amazing experience. Like the cultural difference was phenomenal. And I came back and I realised that all my life I've been trying to be something that I wasn't, and my identity wasn't with my appearance or my Australian culture. I was bleeding Vegemite, but it wasn't also with the Kenyan culture. It was in me. Like I'm just Tamara, and I am who I am. And it took a few more years for me to stop straightening my hair. When I turned 40, I went, right, I'm not going to do it anymore. And I used to look at other girls that had curls and go, oh, the curls are so beautiful. Like, what kind of thought process is that? And then, so I turned 40, I stopped straightening my hair, I started wearing it natural. This is what grew out, and I went, wow, that's really cool. And I just felt, hello? No, I didn't. I was on a roll there. I just 100% felt like I was doing me for the first time in my life. And at 29 is when I started non-associates events, and I felt, right, I don't need a partner, I didn't want a boyfriend, I'm going to start my own business, I'm going to do things my way, I don't want to work for somebody else, I want to just create my own lifestyle. And yeah, when I feel like, I like to pivot all the time because I get bored really easily. But when I feel like I'm not doing me, I look back to those days where I really wasn't doing me and go, no, you're doing okay, you're living your truth and being authentic. I shouldn't use that word. It's such a buzzword. But that's when I feel really calm and happy with myself.
It's funny you mentioned about your hair, because when I first saw you today, I was like, oh my god, I love her hair. And I bet like so many people think that about you now, and I'm glad that you finally embraced it.
First thing Lara said, thanks. And I was like, I love your hair.
There goes.
Trace.
Okay, so the question was, what inspires me to keep being me and also motivates?
Yeah, do you ever feel unmotivated to be you?
Yeah, great. So, who knows what it's like to pretend to be someone that you're not? Who's felt that before? It's really fucking exhausting, right? So I think that I don't ever feel like I'm not interested in being polished or perfect. I'm interested in being myself. And I think we get exhausted when we're trying to be someone that we're not. Because it's actually really easy to be yourself. It's really freeing. It's really fucking fun. You should try it. So I think the first thing I want to say is, when we're feeling there's resistance or there's a disconnection or something like that, it's usually because we're just disconnected from our true self. That's what it is. That's all the masks we're hanging around. That shit's fucking heavy, you guys. So that's the first thing. I always feel inspired to be myself because it's so much easier. It's so much easier than trying to fake it and be like someone else. And what keeps me motivated, kind of what the girls have said as well, is staying true to like why I'm so fiery about the work that I'm fiery about, like why I do this and why it's so important to me. From a business perspective, I think it's really important to take time to reconnect with yourself. Like if you're not feeling inspired, like your life should be inspiring you. That's where you get your inspiration. You get it from living this amazing, beautiful life. So if you're feeling like you're not really that inspired, maybe try something different and shake it up a little bit. Because if you're bored, you're not going to be fucking inspired. If you're faking it, you're not going to be inspired. If you're doing shit you really don't want to be doing because you think you should do it to look cool on the gram, stop fucking doing it, you know? So yeah, I stay motivated by just connecting to my community, and to be connected to my community means I need to be connected to myself first and foremost. Yeah.
Okay, so we just got and then we'll throw it over to the audience if anyone has a question. What's your number one tip for finding confidence to do business your way? Trace, yeah.
Okay. Let's just scratch the word confidence and take on the word courage and self-trust. I think with so many of us are like, I'm not confident so I can't build a business, I'm not confident so I can't use my voice, I'm not confident so I can't write a book, whatever it might be. You don't need confidence, you need self-trust. You need to be okay with being shit before you get good. That was my mantra like 6 years ago, my first speaking gig. And I was like, oh my god, this little freckly farm chick, like shit. And I was freaking out and I just got the mic and I was like, you know what, I'm not afraid to suck, I'm not afraid to be shit. I got a mission on my heart and I'm willing to show up for it. So I think let's just dissolve the charge we have around the word confidence, because that's what's blocking a lot of us right now, or confidence blocking a lot of us. So let's adapt courage, because every single person in this room has courage. Okay, so first thing I want to say. Second thing, wait, can you just repeat the second half of the question? I just want to make sure I'm really tagging to the question.
So where do you look for motivation to keep doing you, or inspiration?
Second. We've done that question.
Oh.
The last question.
Let me read my
See, I forgot
notes.
Confidence.
Oh, sorry, yeah, what's your number one tip for finding confidence?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Or
kind
courage.
of, yes, courage. So kind of similar to the last question as well, and I just want to kind of riff for 1 second on this. Particularly if you have a business right now and you have a story that everyone is already doing it. Who has that story? Don't lie to me. Who has that story? Yeah, everyone's already doing it. Everyone's already positive. Everyone's already empowering women. Everyone's already starting businesses. Everyone's already a yogi, right? We hear this voice in our head all the time. So how I stay plugged into my courage is I zoom out from my Instagram bubble for 5 minutes, take a look around at the world and see how many people are in need of your light work. How many people don't have a voice right now? How many women are disconnected to their bodies? How many people don't have any light in their eyes when you look at it? How many people feel nothing every day? How many people are anxious? And we're sitting here scrolling, following every coach and their cat, and thinking that that is an equal representation of the whole world. Like, if you come and tell me that everyone's already doing this, I'll literally be like, are you fucking kidding me? Please, if you ever feel like you don't have confidence and you don't have courage, get off your Instagram, walk around and just feel people. Just look at people and see what's going on in the world and then get back to work. That's what I would say. I leant in so you fucking heard that.
Okay, Tam, what is your number one tip for finding confidence or courage? I don't think I can follow that.
Yeah, 100% go with your gut. You didn't start, for all the people that are their own business owners in the room, you didn't start your own business because you wanted to do things someone else's way. So listen to your gut, listen to your intuition, listen to the people that build you up around you, and get rid of the people that don't. Like, quite frankly, you don't need that negativity in your life. You really need the people that are going to champion you and tell you you're doing a great job. You also need honesty, of course, but there's still going to be the nice people that give you that. So, yeah, listen to the right people and listen to your gut.
Yeah, love it. Thank you. Okay, Lara, your number one tip for confidence.
I think my number one tip would be, don't worry about what anyone else is doing. Just worry about what you're doing. And when you're not feeling confident, look at your areas where you have had some growth or things that are working for you and pivot off them. Don't look at anyone else's business and be like feel inferior, or because all that happens is that naturally you're going to feel like they're doing better than you. It's just natural. And of course, like we know with Instagram, you get everyone's best version of their lives, and it's a slippery slope. If you start looking at people who are in the same industry as you or what they're doing, you just feel smaller and smaller. So as a general rule, I really don't pay attention to what any other label is doing. I just think, look at what was working well for us, what our customers are saying, and that gives me the confidence to go on season after season.
Okay, Boss Brooke, tell us, what is your number one tip for confidence?
Okay, like all my other answers, I have multiple answers to this. So I was thinking about what I do personally, which I sort of answered in the motivational side as well. I just really focus on who I'm helping and that I'm making a difference, and that's what gives me confidence. And then I started thinking, I was like, okay, but what about the people that are coming that might not actually have any customers yet? How can I say to them, look at your positive feedback and look at your customers? So I'm going to, and this is actually very on theme of the day because it's my wedding anniversary today. My bridesmaid. Yeah. But I thought about, as I'm sure anyone who has planned a wedding has done, you go to Instagram and you find the flowers you want and the dress you want and everything you want, and you make those decisions. And then you're just scrolling, minding your own business, and you see someone else's flowers and you're like, oh fuck, maybe all white flowers is not for me, maybe I should have bright orange flowers. And this started happening as I was planning my wedding. I locked in everything that I wanted to do, and I started second guessing all of my choices. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna unfollow anyone and anybody to do with weddings, because I've made these decisions. These are the right decisions for me, and I don't want to second guess myself. I don't want to be doubting myself in the lead up to what is meant to be, you know, the best day of your life or an amazing day. And that's what I did. And I think Jamie can probably attest to the fact I was quite bride chiller. Yeah. Like, I was pretty chill, and I had a great day and I had a great time, and it was honestly the best time of my life. Now, applying that to business, no one was really doing what I was doing. So I can't say what I did to not look at competitors at the time, because no one was really doing that. But if I can give you that piece of advice, unfollow anybody that makes you feel shit. Or if you can't unfollow them, mute them. We get so caught up in the trap of actually our own creation on social media. Remember, you followed those people. You chose to engage with them, and that's why you're seeing more of them. If you don't know how that works, come and talk to me. You actually have the power to create a feed full of things that inspire you, and full of people that lift you up and lift you higher and make you feel better about what it is that you do, and not just that, but how you choose to do it. So my best piece of advice is unfollow, mute, get rid of anyone on social media at any time. I literally do this daily. I'm scrolling, I'm like, no, fuck you, unfollow, goodbye. Or if I can't unfollow, I mute them, because it's such a small activity, but there's so much power in it, and it really does change your mindset then going forward for the rest of the day, the week, the month, because you feel excited and inspired rather than feeling like, oh, I'm not as good as that perfect image that is all fake anyway. It's always fake, let's be honest, but that's your own fault. And you've got no one to blame but yourself, because you choose to look at that and you choose to then compare yourself to something that's not even real and then feel shit. So the best way to get rid of that is just don't look at it. If you unfollow me though, I'll be pissed. I lose like 300 followers.
Okay, we're about to end. We're going to ask some questions now. So does anyone have a question? Oh, we have one right at the back. Who's going to be my mic runner? Who's got jobs?
Taylor.
Who is she?
Do you want?
Oh, there she is. Can you be my mic runner? We'll bring you a mic.
We'll repeat it.
Taylor.
Is it on? Yes. Firstly, I just wanted to thank you all for your insights. It's been really enjoyable, and I think we focused a lot on overcoming challenges. But I wanted to know what brings you the most joy in your businesses, something a bit nice and positive to hear.
For me, should I start? Yeah. To be honest with you, just the fact that I fucking did it, and that I continue to do it every day, like, just like everybody else, what you guys see on my Instagram account is my highlight reel. But I have shit that goes wrong all the time. I lose a fuck ton of money all the time. People say mean, stupid shit all the time. And like I said at the start, you have to be your own biggest fan, because no matter what happens, I will look myself in the mirror and say, you wanted this, you created this. I say it before I go on stage every single time. If I'm feeling nervous, I'm like, just leave. You created this, you wanted to be a speaker, you want to stand on stage, fucking leave if you don't want to do it. And a part of me is like, no, I don't want to leave. And then I put my big girl pants on and I just go out and do it. So I think just knowing that is what really excites me and really drives me, that I did it and I continue to do it despite all the obstacles, is my answer. Did I answer your question? Okay. Yeah.
Hi. I think for me, obviously I've talked about customers, but giving creatives in WA an opportunity, bringing girls in or guys in and like who are super hungry and thirsty and just have like an amazing attitude. They might not always have the best experience, but you can just feel them, and then nurturing them to be like amazing people. That is incredible. And our ability to give back now as well, like through our profile, we do some packages, like we do a package for breast cancer every year at Vulinovich. It's a year of Zhivago. We give one dress a month for 12 months, and then last year, because due to like a crazy bidding war, it got $100,000. So just the fact that something that has been came out of thin air and was created has now helped so many cancer sufferers in WA, that's amazing. That's what makes me inspired.
My second favourite thing, hands down, is the creative space that we work in. So pretty much every Monday morning meeting we'll go in for 2 hours and we'll come out about 5 hours later, because we just go into this creative bubble and dream up all these amazing ideas for the events and our clients that we've got coming up. But a bit like you, Lara, my number one favourite thing and gives me the most joy in my business is the people that I employ. So I'm super proud that I've built this business, and all of my employees came through my internship program, so they were all straight out of uni, fresh, bright-eyed, and now they're buying cars and they've moved out of home, and this is all because of the jobs that I've been able to provide them, and it's like a family every single day. It doesn't even feel like work, so yeah, it really brings me joy to see that. Boosting other females in particular.
Get around my little feather so I can see you. Yeah, I think the funnest part is just that I get to be myself, and I get to also grow into, like, ground more into my gifts and ground more into myself as well. It's cool to see, and I'm sure everyone's experienced this, like your growth and your evolution through business. I think that's one of the most special things, that we're in a time now where we actually get to keep evolving and we get to keep changing our mind and creating new things, and it's just like such a fertile time for all of us, like entrepreneurs, women in general. It's just such an awesome time right now. Community is really important to me, so creating community and connection, and yeah, I think just learning a lot about myself is the funnest part. And I said something at my events a couple of weeks ago, which is like whenever I'm in that, like Brooke was saying before, in that mindset of like, shit, what if I stuff it up? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I put something out and I hear cricket? It's like, you know, we have to always remember to focus on the excitement, not the ego. Because that ego is going to knock us all the time, no matter where we are on our journey. So if we can just come back to like, wait, okay, I'm shooting myself, maybe I'm not wearing the right thing, or maybe I'm going to say something wrong, but I love to teach, and I love to speak, and I love to create, and I love to be in a room with other women, so I'm going to focus on my excitement rather than my ego right now. Yeah.
We probably only have time for another question or two. Yvette.
Come up on the stage.
Oh, I'll say.
Yes, I'll read.
So being International Women's Day, I just wanted to ask you, who is the person, and I'm not going to say woman because to me, any person can allow you to be the woman you are today. So it's also just
question was, who is the person in your life that without them you wouldn't be able to be yourself today?
This is going to be real cheesy, but it's going to be so annoyed I did this. But my husband actually is, because before him, I was at a job that I was not enjoying. I just thought that's all there was to life. I was in terrible relationships, always got cheated on, had probably really low self-esteem, partied really, really hard, lived for the weekend, and just thought that's all that there was to life. I was in an industry surrounded by people who were really, really passionate about what they did. And I could see that, and I thought it was fantastic for them, but I was like, I guess I'm just not that person. I will never have something that really matters to me, that I really care about. And then this man came into my life that showed me, I guess, what real, genuine love is, and gave me real, genuine support, and gave me a reason not to party. And it's probably bad to say on International Women's Day it was a man, but it really was. It really was that for me. So I guess my best piece of advice, if you don't feel that excitement and love for what it is that you do, try something else. Because I didn't start my business as social media training. I started it as event management, and I wasn't really enjoying it, and then this whole new opportunity arose. But if I didn't have someone sort of question, like, are you really loving this? Do you really love what it is that you do? And me be like, it's not fueling me, then I probably wouldn't be here today. I'd probably still be at that old job. So, yeah, I guess he gets a shout out.
On your anniversary.
Oh no, anniversary. You had to say that. It's your anniversary.
I did.
Mine is also a male, but for different reasons. It would have to be my father. I'm first generation Australian, so my family is from Croatia, and they were very poor. And when my father was in his teenage years with my grandparents, they trekked. They lived on the top of a mountain without even running water. They trekked down to the docks and got onto a boat and came here with no money, and he just worked 3 jobs to raise us, put me through private school, to give me everything, but most importantly to tell me to, if I want something, to go get it myself. That his favourite thing to say was that he wanted to go to school and he had to walk 7 miles to school in the snow. And I always thought it was a lie until I went back to Croatia and saw where he had to walk. So it was the self-worth that he taught me and the work ethic. And I've never ever felt that I needed to be in a relationship or I needed a man in my life to give me the things that I wanted. And if he hadn't sacrificed so much, I would be like many of my cousins, stuck back in a poverty-stricken country with no opportunity. So yeah, I'm just super grateful to have what I have today.
I think when I was asked my first question, I was really nervous. I tried to blurt out something about men, and it just there's nothing wrong with men on International Women's Day being the people that are your biggest supporters, but because for us to raise up, we have to have the support of the whole community, and that includes men. But for me, my husband is also amazing, but the biggest catalyst in my life is my mother. She's just such a giving, hardworking, intelligent woman that inspires me in everything that she does. And yeah, I wouldn't be the woman that I am today without her guidance. I wouldn't have started a business, I don't think, that was focused on building up the community and helping charities and giving back to charities if it hadn't been for my mum. And in the position that we're in now, we still give back to the community. We sponsor Black Swan State Theatre Company, 20 grand a year in events every year. So that ingrained giving back and paying it forward definitely came from my mum, and like your family, she was very, very hardworking. And yeah, it really instills in you. It's pretty special, so that's what it is for me.
So I'm going to answer the question from right now, not on my journey. who inspires me is actually all of you, and that's like super cheesy, I know, but I'm gonna go there and claim it. Because it's so easy to not show up, and it's so easy to not grow, and it's so easy to keep hiding, and it's so easy to go back to sleep. So what inspires me is women that fucking show up when they have lots of fears, when they have a fuckload of self-doubt, when they're thinking they're not good enough, when they're thinking they need better hair, when they're thinking they need to be different dress size, and they show up anyway. And they use their voice, and they have the courage to actually take action on what their intuition is telling them, not just listen to it, but actually act on it. That's what inspires me. And it's everyday people, it's not just people out there, doing massive things, and not even like us on stage, like we're all awesome, but it's only because we have the talking carrot right now. Like, we're not any more powerful than any of you guys in this room. This is a big round table that we're all sitting at. So you guys inspire me, and I hope you inspire yourself as well. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to have to, we'll have to finish the question time, but the girls will be here down at this table. If you've got any questions, feel free to come up and ask them. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to answer. So the mimosas have come out. Enjoy. Make sure you grab a raffle ticket. We'll be back here in about 15 minutes. So if you haven't got your raffle tickets yet, please go and see Taylor at the back there, and she can get your raffle ticket. Please also go visit our stalls around the edges there. The ladies have come and set up for us today. We'll be back in 15.